That's so funny.
Mhm.
Okay, hi everybody.
Hello, hello. Uh, a funny story. Ariana and I started the workshop, but we didn't realize that we weren't live. So, welcome.
Take two. It's the remix.
Yes, yes. Oh, I guess we have to do the whole intro again. Do you
Cool.
want to start?
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Ariana. You can find me online at Ariana the Poet. I will be doing tech support for today's workshop. But today, Alan is going to be the lead facilitator. So, Alan, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So my name is Alan. I am Migrant Scribble on the internet, and today's workshop is around the theme of triumph, particularly when was the first time you celebrated something for yourself, um, and also kind of how did you learn to deprioritize triumph? And we're going to be guiding this workshop by the works of two poets who I really love. The first poet we're going to be looking at is Giselle Buchanan, who wrote Love Letter to Self. There is a Google link on the description for the document we're going to use. And on the document, there are links to both Giselle's Instagram and the website where you can scoop this chapbook. And the second poet we're going to be reading is Sonia Ginyansaka, who wrote Nostalgia and Borders. And also on the Google link will be the Instagram to Sonia's page and the Sonia's website. The chapbook is currently sold out, but you can bookmark the website for when it comes back in print. So I love chapbooks because for me, chapbooks I think are some of the most radical and liberated the most radical and invested in liberation from the poetry world. Because, chapbooks, it's the poet is like, I'm going to do this in the way that I want. I'm going to print it how I want it. I'm going to bind it how I want it. And it's kind of like full authority, full freedom. So yes, these two chapbooks.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Before we get into Alan's workshop, which is going to be wonderful, I just want to go over a few things first. Yeah, first, would love to know everybody's name and where you're tuning in from. So if you can just drop a greeting in the chat, we would love to know where everybody's coming from today. And while we do that, you probably found us. Hopefully, you found our Instagram page, which is Right With Us Live. So I'm putting it here on the video so you can see. And this is where you can find out about. We're going to be teaching these workshops every Sunday through the end of July at the same time, sort of the same place, and you can find out information about upcoming workshops on our Instagram, as well as if you want to volunteer later in the workshop today and in future workshops to share some of the work you generate. You can also just send us a DM at Right With Us Live, and we'll send you the link to you so you can join in on the side that Alana and I are on to join. And oh, and as well, you probably saw on the Instagram too some of the work from last week's workshop, some of the pieces that people wrote. Um, if you send them to us, what you created in the workshop, we will post it on our Instagram page so we can actually see we're actually are all writing and creating together. Um, yeah, so that's my little spiel about the Instagram page. Please follow us on there. Anything else, Alan, before we get into your workshop?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Okay, take it away.
Okay, yay! I'm super excited. If y'all haven't opened the Google document and you're able to open it, please do so because that's going to have some of our guiding questions. We're also going to project it on the YouTube screen. But I wanted to start off with reading a poem from Love Letter to Self as our intro. And the poem is called, give me one second. Oh my, oh my. Okay. So the poem is called She Who Summons What She Wants, and I'm going to just show you. Giselle is a multimedia artist, so it's art and poetry, and all the poetry is handwritten, which is my favorite part. But I'm going to read you the poem. How long have you bowed your head, worshipped what was not enough? For which god do you build your altar? Is there a valley you see yourself running through? What is the soul? How long have you searched for a light you already claim? What is the thing that closes the throat, bends the spine forward? When will you become the woman you are? The one like lightning in the room, she who summons what she wants. You want to hug your mother, cover your body in precious jewels, weave textiles in your garden, scatter hibiscus throughout your tightly wound curls. You long for mango, for turquoise water, for curry peppering the air come noon. You wish for avocado, for a fist to lace your fingers through, for a man who declares every ground you stand unholy. What is it about this lake of summer that stirs the already restless spirit? When will you let the desert sun kiss your skin a honeyed browns? Why are you afraid to go where you've never been? Do you believe there isn't space for you, for this universe to cradle you? Don't you know the world is waiting? There is a field of tulips in Holland, their bulbs open to cup your blessed sweat. There is a mountain on every continent to watch the sun rise upon. Wax your legs with lemon and honey. Let it simmer on the pot until it forms a sweet paste. Look at your naked body. Do not turn your face away. Let the sage form thick ropes of smoke around your exposed skin. What is peace? How do you find it? You are a festival of light. Put flame to your candles. So that is She Who Summons What She Wants by Giselle Buchanan's Love Letter to Self. And what are some of your first reactions to this poem?
Can I jump in, Alan?
Mhm.
I feel like I don't know, I really like the title. And it in a lot of ways it almost feels like the word summon stood out to me. Like it almost sounds like a recipe or a spell. Because of the list of ingredients that are named, a lot of the things like lemon and honey and the flowers, the types of plants, all of those things to me like are related to like summoning and conjuring and medicine. So yeah, just like that connection to the natural world is what stood out the most to me as a source of power.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a form of conjuring, right? Particularly if you all, if some, I saw that some of you knew Giselle's work, but if you follow Giselle on Instagram and the internet, you can tell that one of the things Giselle is really invested in is food as a source of liberation, and food as a source of joy and spirituality. So yeah, like this is absolutely conjuring. And I see people are writing. Let's see. Kay, I cried, TBH, and really felt that the world is waiting to hold me, to just be in my presence. Christina, she's so good. The bit about the throat closing and shame resonated. I feel all my anxiety in my throat, negating my own voice. Right. So that's a somatic response when your body reacts to something like shame or fear or anxiety, and the throat actually closing or you feeling uncomfort. That is a somatic response. Your body telling you something is wrong. love how grounded in the senses it is, how we can taste it, smell it, and feel the power of claiming what she deserves and wants. Absolutely. And I do have, let me share this screen. I took a picture of the poem in case anybody couldn't hear me too well. Okay, so here we have it. Can you see it in full, Anna? Okay, I'll just zoom in because, oh, perfect. Okay, can you all see that? Yeah, okay. Oh, I can't really zoom in. Oh, I think it's making it smaller each time. Okay, anyways, yes. So let me just instead add this to the Google Doc. Perfect. Okay, that feels better. So the first question that not Ariana, that Giselle asks in this piece is, how long have you bowed your head? And I wanted us to start there by answering one question. So the first question I want to ask you to contribute to the chat is this one. How old were you the first time you felt shame? So just try to think of your earliest memory of feeling ashamed to either say something or just like somebody shamed you, like verbally. The first time you were either ashamed to be who you are or to speak or to celebrate or to be happy. How old were you the first time you felt shame? So just type in the age. So that's 6 years old. Four, three, three, 4 or 5, 5, 3, 3, 7, 5 or 6, 5, 5, 6, 4, 5 or 6, 3. Okay, so it's a lot of early childhood. Maybe 3 to 5, 10, 4, 5, 4, 5. Oh, another 5 before I even knew my vowels. 4, 8, 7 or 8, fourth grade, 5, 5 or 6. Fourth grade. Okay, so it seems that a lot of folk, a lot of us have experienced shame really early. Um, and now I want to ask you the second question. How old were you the first time you celebrated a personal triumph? And by personal triumph, it is anything. Um, it can be, the first time you learned to whistle and you celebrated it, or you celebrating losing a tooth, or saying no to someone, or leaving a job. So just what is the first time you can vividly remember celebrating triumph? Can you type in the H in the Google chat? Okay, so they're coming in. 5, the first time I poured my own apple juice, and I was very proud. 21, 8, 4, 6, 7, 5, 5, 4, 13 or 14. 6, 7, third grade, 27, 6 or 7, 4, about 8. Okay, around 9, around 7, 17. 12, sixth grade, 8 or 9, around 7. Around 17, around 9. 8, riding my cousin's bike. It was probably when I made something the first time, like a card for my mom or something, so 5 or 6, kindergarten. When I became more mindful about the fact that I could be proud. 7, finishing my first book by myself. Ooh, I don't think I celebrated, TBH. 8th grade. Okay, so this one seems to be much more of a varied response, right, from the first one. So the first one, we noticed that it was a lot of early childhood, and then this one, it's early childhood in combination with teenage years in combination with early 20s. And then we have some folk who articulate that they don't really remember celebrating or remember feeling proud as a kid, but knowing that it happened. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to take 5 minutes to make a list. Oh, the comments keep coming in. Beautiful. Okay, maybe around 4 or 5, wheeling my grandfather around in his wheelchair when they give out little pizza coupons for reading books in kindergarten. So 4 or 5. Oh my! Wow, I remember the pizza coupons when I was like in 5th grade. Okay, 5. I was 7 and I felt proud that I was doing well in Sunday school, and then immediate shame at celebrating of it. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Thank you for sharing that, Jesus. Okay, so the first exercise is we're not writing a poem or anything. We're just making a list. And lists are poems. I do not want to conflate that. But I mean like a list of maybe like 1 or 2 words, not a list of sentences. So I want to ask you to make a list of life events you wish you had celebrated growing up. So anything that you didn't celebrate, but you wanted to. And literally be as selfish as you want. If you want to celebrate that time you talked back to that teacher that was never nice to you, like write it down. If you want to celebrate the time you told a parent or a family member or an adult that no, you were not going to go to the next room to get something for them, write it down. Like anything you wish you could have celebrated. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to generate this list. And I'm also going to participate. Okay. Okay, so the 5 minutes are up. I timed it. Ariana, do you want to share kind of your process of writing this list or kind of what came up?
Yeah, I found myself I started to make the list, and then something that came up for me was that like the question, what is celebration, or how do you celebrate? I think celebration in general is something I struggle with, of knowing how to do it. So I think, in addition to like moments I wish I had celebrated, I also have the question of how would I have done that. And I think a lot of times for me, yeah, I feel like the last like few years of my life, I've lived in areas where I don't have a lot of friends or family. And so also the question of how do you celebrate alone, if you're the only person that you love that's near you. So that was something that came up for me. I think one thing I wish I had celebrated was coming out to myself as queer. I don't think that's something I knew how to celebrate at the time. But yeah, it's something I wish that I had given myself space to celebrate.
Thank you for sharing that. When you were speaking, I realized that, yeah, maybe um, learning how to celebrate is what this workshop can do for us as well. So I added a prompt to our final exercise. So thank you for that. And also for me, celebrating my coming out was the second thing that I wrote on my list. Because I came out to like close friends when I was probably in second grade. And then I came out to like the world in high school, but I never knew how to celebrate. I didn't know that that was an accomplishment because for me, it was always this terrifying thing. Why would you celebrate something that's terrifying? And as an adult, I'm like, oh, I really wish that people had given me a framework of how to celebrate things that were terrifying, you know? One of the things I also wrote was like moving out. I felt so much shame when I moved out of my mother's house. Um, and part of it is because she shamed me. Like this idea of what are people going to say? You're leaving the family. This is not what we do in our community. I come from this really small village where you only move out once, not even if you have a partner, but once you're about to have a child. And for me to move out was such a slap in the face, and I felt shamed for years about not living with my family. And now I'm like, imagine that if they could have been like, we're so proud of you. You're going out and getting to know yourself. What else came up for people if you want to drop it in the chat? Tori, I also didn't celebrate coming out and I wish I would have. Christina, that's definitely on my list too. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share anything that kind of came up for them in the list?
Um,
Moving out was on my list too.
I can also add another thing that was on my list while we're waiting for people to add their things. I wish I would have celebrated some of the breakups that I had. Like I definitely didn't feel like celebrating at the time, but yeah, a lot of I'm glad I'm not with those people anymore, and that deserves celebration, I think.
I am also happy for you. Like, yeah, thank you for sharing, Ariana. We also got Alexis. I feel like that life has been so terrifying in survival that there was never time to celebrate, and now I don't know how to. Yeah, this is the core, I think, of the workshop. Because I've only recently learned how to celebrate. um, Carrie, my first period. Brina having my moon cycle. Natalie, the first time I talked back to my father. Right. We're forced to think that like some of these things are the farthest away from celebrating. Rumsha, learning self-soothing techniques. Accepting of my humanness. Wow, leaving abusive relationships, yeah. I just wrote breakups too. Confessing about my abuse and abusers. Absolutely. Right. So shame is a tactic of control and manipulation, right? If you can shame somebody, you can have access to them in a sense. And I think it happens a lot with parenting. Also happens a lot with teachers and students. It happens a lot with employers and employees, right? Shame as a tool of control. Thank you so much for everybody that keeps sharing in the chat. So now I want us to kind of sit back and witness another poem so that we can have a larger framework of how to talk about shame, triumph, and celebration. Oh, and they keep coming in. Thank you. Breaking off friendships with toxic people, even though it hurt. Yes. Wearing my first bathing suit at 4 years old with my little baby belly all out. Thank you for doing that. Going back to college. Yes, we live in a shame-based culture, unfortunately. Yes. Thank you so much, friends. And now I want us to continue thinking about Giselle's question of kind of how we learned to bow our heads, and keep that question in mind as I read you this poem from Sonia Guinansaka's chapbook, and it's actually the last poem in the collection. So I'm going to try to read a little bit slower so that everybody can hear. It's titled Glory. And the first stanza is in Spanish, and I'll read the first stanza as is, and then I will live translate it. Mi mamá se levanta a las 7 de la mañana, se baña, sus pies bendecidos en agua, es divina. Después empieza con su maquillaje. I'm going to translate it into English. My mother wakes up at 7 in the morning. She showers. Her feet blessed in water. She is divine. Afterwards, she begins with her makeup. And I'll continue the poem. Her brown hands gently holding the black eyeliner. For a migrant woman, these are lines she welcomes. She places her dark brown hair in a bun, carefully placing bobby pins, like carefully placing lipstick, like carefully placing hope on land. Mommy's knowledge teaches me that my wings are meant to be thick, meant to take up space. These are rituals I grew up with. So I repeat every morning, creating self into existence, between lipstick and softness, between borders and belonging. These are ways I survive. So I repeat, arching my eyebrows, jewelry over my neck, red nails pointy enough to hold homes. Homes I am building, homes I left. So I repeat, adorning all my genders, like the gospel never sung at my church. This becomes biblical. Let this be an ode to femmes of color, whose celestial eyeshadows crack the heavens, whose thick thighs resurrect possibilities. So I repeat, what glory we incite, what glory we create, what glory we are. I'll give you a second to take it in. And that is titled Beloved, not Beloved, but it's titled Glory. And there's actually a video on YouTube, and I will send the link in the chat if you want to hear Sonia's voice. Any first thoughts?
Are you asking me, Alon, or everybody?
You, yeah.
um, yeah, I really love that line. What glory we incite. The use of the word insight is so interesting to me in that line in particular. But it makes me think about what Sonia has described, like moments of watching people you love, especially if you're a marginalized person, watching people you love tend to themselves in
Mm.
like ritual ways, like the way that Sonia described watching Sonia's mother put on makeup and sort of care for herself and be tender to herself. Um, yeah, that stuck with me.
Yeah, and I think that like when Sonia like talks about insight, right? I think it's similar to how Giselle ends her piece by saying to light the flame to your candle. Both of
Mm,
them are kind of also conjuring, right? If the world tells us that we shouldn't celebrate or that um, shame is easier, then to actually go against shame is to literally light a flame to all the lessons we've been taught. Is to be like, actually, no.
mhm.
So thank you for sharing that. And then, a few people have adding creating self into existence, my favorite part. Que bello, adorning all my genders, yes. Bringing self into existence, yes, absolutely. If you could add it to the Google Docs. Oh yeah, let me add it to the Google Doc instead. Perfect. So I'll add it right here. Oh, that was the wrong. So I added a link to Sonia reading the poem. So it's actually a multimedia video, I would say. Okay. The poet is Sonia Guinyansaka for Lucy's question. And you can find all that in the Google Doc. The poet for both of the chapbooks and links to both of the chapbooks are on the top of the Google Doc. Okay, and Sonia uses they, them pronouns, just for clarification. Okay, so now I want to ask, so for Sonia, right, the person that taught them triumph and glory is their mother. And I want you to just think about anybody in your life who has modeled triumph or glory, right? We don't just know things, we learn things, right? So if you understand the concept of either celebration or glory or triumph, that means that you saw it modeled somewhere or you witnessed it at a certain point in your life. So I ask if we can each drop in a name of somebody who has modeled triumph or glory in our lifetimes. And I'll drop the first name. I don't think I can type it in the chat, but my younger brother, who is in high school, has modeled triumph and glory for me. So we're bringing Vikram into the room, Ebony Stewart into the room, my Mima into the room, Karen's sister into the room. Okay, Nubia's older sister, Cecilia San Alonso, Natalie's mom, Adela Pena, Louis Lopez, Kevin's older sister, Maria's mama, Taji Sr., Maria, my first caretaker, wow, Dora, Brina's grandmother. Mm. Okay, continue naming these folk. Because when we name, right, we begin to name the genealogies from which we come from. And by that I mean, we're not just us as individuals, we're shaped by other people. So continue naming Andrea, mi hermana, for showing up to this workshop today. My brother Rick, Christina's mom, Christina's abuelita, Elsie, James Baldwin. Okay, so something that came up earlier in the chat was that maybe we don't know how to celebrate. And what's coming up right now in the chat is that there are people in our lives, or people we've encountered in literature, or people who we've encountered through art, who have modeled glory and triumph for us. So we're not alone, right? Like, we may not fully know how to celebrate, but there is somewhat of a rough outline out there in the world. And now for us to expand our toolbox, this is the heart of the workshop. I'm gonna ask you that for the next 15 minutes, we engage in this writing prompt. So I'm asking you to write a letter to your younger self outlining the triumphs in your adult life. So think about the age you were the first time you felt shame. So if you were 12, or if you were 3, or if you were 5, write a letter to that younger person, letting them know how much triumph they will encounter as they continue to grow older. So that is one option. And then option 2 is write a letter to your younger self with instructions of how to celebrate. So maybe you want to pick one of the items in the list you generated earlier and really think about that item. You wish you could have celebrated that, right? So why not give your younger self instructions so that in a parallel universe, that younger self is celebrating exactly in that way that you're instructing them. And I, yeah, I'm just asking that you trust yourself. Um, And the reason that I'm asking for this is because a lot of the times we know how to start with trauma, and I want you to start with triumph and celebration. So if you couldn't access that triumph and celebration, give yourself instructions of how to access it. Um, okay, so the 15 minutes will start now, and should we put music?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna start the timer. Thank you, everybody. Ariana, I think you're a little staticky right now.
Alan, do you want to try playing some music instead? I think there's some issues with my computer.
Yes, I can do that.
Thanks.
Don't ignore what's happening here. We're having some kind of powerful, weird alchemy, and you have to pay attention when that happens. Stuff is not to be treated lightly.
Listen, I actually just came out here to have a cigarette, okay, and relax and do my thing.
Yeah.
So, maybe another time.
Yeah, but there may not be another time. Okay, I may never get this chance again. I mean, we may never, be able to return to this moment.
Okay. It seems that time is up. And I ask that you put your pencils, pens, phones, whatever you're writing with down. Ariana, is it okay if I ask you for a reflection on your 15 minutes?
Sure. This was deep also. Yeah, I was thinking about, do you want to hear the little piece that I wrote? Or is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. It begins with the body, a hand to a leaf, resting gently, the sun warming the ears and neck. The first time I talked to a plant was years ago. In the middle of summer, I asked to be less lonely. I walked everywhere and kept water on me. I sang a song I knew by heart and was guided through a season of tired mornings, angry afternoons. I learned to celebrate myself then, too. Have you ever asked a plant for assistance, given something in return? I was just like getting started really when the time ran out, but I was thinking about my partner has started a garden, and just this week, in the last week or so, a lot of the plants that they started are just starting to sprout. And the other day, I was just having a really, really hard day, and they forced me to go outside into the backyard, and we started planting some rosemary. That's one of my favorite plants. There's something about the smell of it. It reminds me of home. It grows wild everywhere in Austin and San Antonio, and I don't really see it up north here. So it reminds me of home. And we planted that, and it was something so small, like such a small thing. And I felt so much better and so much more grounded. And it reminded me of my own spirituality and practices that I have been neglecting for a while. So that's where it took me.
Wow, thank you. This is going to be a fire piece. The little bit that you shared, because the penultimate line you shared was like, have you asked the plant for assistance, right? Yeah, so this idea that even a plant can help us when other people may not be around, right? This idea that yes, we might be alone or you might be dealing with something, but at the end of the day, we can ask permission from others, like the natural world and other people. And it's kind of like a root, right? We're building roots into our quality of life. Wow. I'm wondering if this is a time to ask folk if they want to come on the live and share what they've written and kind of reflect. And while Ariana's doing some of that tech support, it's like I noticed that one person liked the music, so I added the link to what I was playing. It's just like this instrumental like thing that I listen to sometimes. So please definitely check that out. Anybody want to drop in the comments kind of like how you're feeling right now? Natalie, we can ask permission. Oh, I guess I can also share what I was thinking about while you're working on that, Yana. I wrote a 10-step um, instruction to my younger self on how to celebrate the first time my ears were pulled. Um, I vividly remember like yelling at this person who was taking care of me because I just felt that they were treating me wrong. And she pulled on my ear like really hard. And I guess I never really understood why. I was like, oh, I was clearly wrong, but I was not wrong. Um, so I just wrote instructions of how to laugh out loud in the shower at me being so powerful that I caused an adult to have to like do something because they saw all of their power like fade away in an instant when I spoke. Um, Yeah, so, people are writing in the chat. Thank you. I had to think a lot about what celebration looked like and acknowledging what to celebrate. How do I find what I can or should celebrate? I also think that sometimes, at least for me, when I don't celebrate things, it's because I don't believe that I deserve to be happy. That happened a lot last week. I was really sad with kind of like the state of the world. And I think it also happened this weekend. Even yesterday, I was sitting outside on a blanket, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I'm outside under the sun. And then I felt shame for being outside under the sun. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this. And I felt shame because I knew there were protests happening across the country, and I like made the decision not to go to a protest. And I was like, oh no, like my livelihood matters as much as this protest, right? And yeah, I had to learn how to not be ashamed of me being outside in the sun in the midst of crisis. Let's see. Christina, my piece was very about the body and how to celebrate just being physically here and laughing at the strangeness of it all. Right, like laughing at strangeness. I think for like people who are racialized and people who are like gendered, sometimes when we laugh, we're called like we're like, oh, that's odd or that's weird, or things are pathologized. Why are you laughing? Right? Our laughing doesn't need to make sense. Michelle, it felt really good to acknowledge all the good and positive in my life, and it felt good to somehow celebrate these things in writing. Absolutely. Thank you for celebrating. Numa, befriending shame and regifting things and using discernment of what's yours and what's others, and understanding that lovelessness spreads, but who it belongs to. Makes me think of like, who are you loving? Who are you allowing to love you? Celine, I am so proud of myself and feeling so grateful for myself and for this workshop to reflect. Yes, thank you for like honoring yourself and centering your moments of triumph. Okay. I'm not sure. Are people gonna come up? Maybe not.
I'm talking with one person I sent a message to one person on Instagram, but if anyone is here and they would like to share, if you would like to share what you just generated right now during Alan's writing session, Alan's writing prompt, just send a DM to us on Instagram at Write With Us Live. I'll put that up here so you can see it as well. But if you send a DM to this Instagram account, then we can send you the link so you can join us and we can actually get to hear from you directly from you, not just from your comments in the chat. So just go ahead and send us a message on Instagram if you'd like to share.
Oh, the last comment. My letter had instructions about how to use the sense of taste to absorb nourishment. En té de eucalipto amargo and bitter eucalyptus tea. Wow. So triumph in taste, in food, yeah, in triumph in nourishment. Beautiful. Leslie, I feel a lot of care for my younger self that I didn't feel for myself when I was actually younger. Wow. Thank you for sharing, Lota. I outlined my triumphs and they started very establishment, jobs, a word, but broadened into personal triumphs on relationships and growth. Right. I think that like living under a capitalist society, we are taught that triumph is about how we're advancing capitalism, right? And when we go back and we're like, well, how are we also advancing our humanity and our personhood and each other's state in the world, right? I'm really happy that you brought that up. Like, yeah, because also I don't think it would be fair to be like, oh, we shouldn't celebrate whatever like establishment accomplishments are, because sometimes for certain people, those things do like secure their livelihood, like their current existence. Christina can teeter on the edge of an energy that is too ego-based and gets exhausted quickly. When I can pause and ground myself, I can focus on the collective intention and celebrate in a more generative way. And I think time also allows for like for deeper care. I often think about like when I was like really, really poor, like when I didn't have like enough in my account to be like, can I eat multiple meals a day? Like time just wasn't something I had because I was like, how do I get money to eat multiple times a day? So when you do have time and you decide to use it for yourself, that can really transform the quality of care you give yourself and others.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Hey, hi. Wow, that was a surprise. I was literally okay. Let me get it together. Hi, my name is Naima. My pronouns are she, they. I'm really excited. Shout out to this live. Shout out to y'all. This special shout out to my friend Rumsha. I love them so much, and I really love community. And that I found not only a beautiful soul, beautiful friend, but a queer Muslim ally, and just like that solidarity and how much community and love, like we go back and forth, and just how much I love them. So I'm just gonna give them a special shout out. So it's really, so thank you for this. I'm gonna just do the poem. I'm actually really surprised. So thank you for this. So I did the one, write a letter to your younger self with instructions of how to celebrate. Sis, as mama always told you, put on your best fit as your pre-fated date with death. Throw on Bitch Better Have My Money by Riri to remember everything that has tried to kill you has failed miserably, offering shame as a sacrificial lamb. And you befriended those parts as well. The monsters under your bed were just lonely and looking for home, and you have taken them in, loved them still, but loved yourself more. You have taken what is yours and left the rest, gifted yourself kindness and forgiveness with empathy as the bow on top, for understanding that everyone is trying to be heard, be loved from lovelessness, but remembering humbly where you belong in all of this. Put on your Black platform boots to stomp on the ground. Wake the earth up one more time because you have died to be reborn again. That is cyclical. The only importance is right now. You are here, today, years old, and never alone in the ways you imagine, bringing and binding your life into a spell of resurgence. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing.
It really
Thank you.
was. The way you started, you
Do I?
named. Oh, wait, don't go
Oh,
yet,
I'm
don't go yet.
sorry. Go ahead. Okay.
No, the way you started and you said that we befriend shame. I honestly hadn't thought about shame in that way as something that like we befriend. So thank you for naming that for us. How do you feel right now?
I'm a little nervous, but it's okay. I don't know. I was on the beach yesterday and I was meditating and I picked up Danette Smith's book. Um, Not the latest one on homies, but the one prior to that, Don't Call Us Dead. And thinking about the ways that they have thought about these things that have negative connotations, whether it be violence or death, and in the regards of blackness and what that looks like, and making space for that, and thinking of that, thinking of the metaphors and like how in terms of gardens, and just changing and shifting the perspective. And I love the nuance and the imagination of what it means to add humanness to everything, and to give that and to give that and to give that. And I think oftentimes when we think about blackness and like anti-blackness and death, like they're very much it's a caricature, and like we don't get the full entirety of who they are and the impact they had and the love. So it's like it makes me think who they are outside of the narrative they're telling, and like the people that have loved them, and that the parts of them that I love what you said about how we're not just who we are, that we're the parts of the people that we love. And I believe that personally. And I think about all of the people that have loved me and got to where I am. And my personal philosophy is that I fall in love and bring a piece of everyone that I love with me, and bring that into me to hold myself accountable, and to think about Bell Hooks' framework on about love, and and how I try to emulate, and I'm responsible to the people that produced me, because sis is tired. But it's like, it's that thing of like having to keep going, and using that as a motivating factor, because if someone loved me enough to believe in myself and see all of my humanness and all of my bullshit too, that I can kind of use that to keep going and figure out what that means inside of myself, kind of thing.
Wow, thank you for sharing those reflections. Yeah, I really resonated with your insistence, and also Danessa's insistence on bringing back humanness in everything, right? Like blackness, I think, has become like this word that we throw around in the US, and equated to certain things and not to others. And it's like, but why? So thank you for bringing that into the space.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I can just jump in real quick, I feel like thank you so much for everything that you just offered right now. One of the things that came up for me is when you were offering all of that just now. I feel like a lot of those ideas are encapsulated. You had a line there was something like "Wake up the earth again." Can you say the line again? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Put on your black platform boots to stomp on the ground, wake the earth up one more time, because you've died to be reborn again. That is cyclical.
Yes, absolutely. I don't want to add too much more to that because I feel like you said everything in the best way it could be said. I just want to say thank you for offering that to us.
Thank you for this space. Like, you don't, like, first of all, I don't even know y'all, but I love y'all, and I'm glad like this has come into my atmosphere, and like just blessings and immense gratitude, because this is needed. And writing and healing and arts is really, like, I just think about the impact of artists, and like it's the thing of being true sellers and storytellers in our own way, and taking these universal experiences, but making it so personal that it just like it resonates with everyone, and that understanding and that empathy. So I thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you for being here. All right, let me see if we can hear another person share. Wasn't that wonderful?
It was. I'm like, oh my goodness. Thank you everybody for tuning in on today. last week I told Ariana I haven't been able to write creatively in over a month, and last week was the first time during Ariana's workshop that I was able to write. And I feel like being in community with y'all, even though we can see their faces, it really is giving me something to look forward to every single week, I think. Thank you, Numa, so much for sharing.
Okay, Natalia, if you're still here, I just sent you a message on Instagram to join. Hi.
Hi, I'm Natalia. Thank you so much for putting this together. I'm feeling a lot of things. My child self is really here right now. And I know I recently learned that joy is my home energy. Like that's my home. And so whenever I don't feel grounded, I always remember to come home, come back home to joy. So I'm translating. I wrote this in Spanish, and I translated it a kind of in English. So we'll see how this goes. Nena, de las flores más bonitas, escógete las que más quieras. Córtalas con cuidado, con su permiso, y pregúntales, ¿bailamos? Camina hacia el centro de la casa. El tiempo estará suspendido para tu protección. Pon Selena o simplemente canta algo, hasta que te haga reír y estés mareada de dar tantas vueltas. Después pon agua en una cubeta. Respira el aroma de los pétalos. Ponlas en un rincón de tu cuarto, donde vas a llorar o para escaparte del abuso. No te preocupes, que estas flores son magia y solo tú las podrás ver. ¿Por qué? Porque así de poderosa eres. Y como el viento te dio la energía para sobrevivir las pesadillas, y como el agua te ayuda a liberarlas, y el calor del sol te dio las palabras que no tenías antes. Así. And then in English, Nena, of all the flowers growing outside, find the ones you admire the most. Cut them carefully with their permission and ask them, may I have this dance? Walk to the center of the house. Time will be frozen. You will not be in danger. And then put on Selena or sing something until you're laughing and dizzy from spinning. Place water into a tub. Breathe in the aroma of the petals. Put them in the corner of your house where you go to cry and hide from the abuse. Don't worry. These flowers are filled with your magic and only you can see them. You, yes. Because you have the magic. You are that powerful, and like the wind gave you the energy to survive the nightmares, and the water allows you to release them, and the heat of the sun helped you spit out the words you didn't have before, like that. Thank you.
Thank you. I really feel like everybody today is casting spells. And wow, both the original and the translation are incredibly powerful. And I think hearing both of them, I learned different things in each one. One of the things that I've seen reoccurring is like the power of like plants, and also last week the power of dirt and earth came up, and same this week. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was so beautiful, Natalia. Thank you so much for sharing that. It makes me think about like the power of ritual. Just my curandera used to talk to me about that a lot. You know that they're one of the things about ritual is that there should be like certain steps to follow, right? And when we follow those steps, we know that ceremony is taking place. And that ceremony is an incredibly powerful thing. That's why there are steps to it, so that you don't call forth anything you don't intend to. And it felt in your piece like every step was very intentional and done with such care. And I think also the way that you read it too, that care translated and felt very tender, like you were being very intentional about how you were holding the person you were speaking to. And it was so powerful that it took me a minute after you finished to be able to say any words about it. So thank you so much for that. That was so incredibly powerful. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ooh. We have like 4 minutes left. Should we begin putting a closure, Ariana?
What do you mean by that, Alon? Like, do you want to have one more person go, or you're saying you want to start wrapping things up?
Up to you.
We have one more person that would like to first. Maybe we can do that. Okay. Hi.
Okay, so 4 minutes. I can do this. Thank you guys for your time.
No, take your time. No worries.
Okay, let's see. So I chose to write a letter to my younger self, and I actually wrote all of it in Spanish. I thought it was in Spanglish, and I looked back and it was all in Spanish. In the interest of time, shall I just read the English translation? So 4 minutes. I can do this. Thank you guys for your time.
No, take your time. No worries.
Okay. Okay, so I think there's a really long delay.
Oh, okay. Take your time, though.
I actually wrote all of it in Spanish. I thought it was in Spanglish, and I looked back and it was all in... Okay. I was just listening to myself say it out loud. I've muted you all, so if you need my attention, just like wave at me. I'll read it then. Querida, te abrazo. Pasarás por muchos triunfos en la vida. Los alcanzarás tú, el cuerpo que eres, tus ojos que ven, tu hambre, tus deseos, todos te guiarán a momentos que de alguna manera sabrás que son buenos, pero no estarás convencida del por qué lo son. No es fácil para ti saborearlos, pero ven, mira, te explico. En algún momento pensarás, I can hear the praise, but I can't feel it coming in. It's there, but it's not. Always behind a thin, transparent wall. All these years, you've been able to see it, but there's something standing there between you and its nourishment. Te quiero porque desde chiquita tienes gran hambre y el amor con el que absorbes el mundo te delata. De chiquita te metías todo a la boca, de un gran bocado como la muñeca del comercial. Así precisamente se come un triunfo, por la boca. Ábrela, saborea. Es difícil porque no todo lo que te metes a la boca es bueno, y aprendiste a negarte todo aquello que parecía sospechoso. Eso está bien, pero ahora hay que discernir que sospechas de todo triunfo, y quizá por miedo. Aquí mi segunda instrucción. Si la primera fue abrir la boca, la segunda es aceptar, con miedo y todo, que habrá que comer cosas amargas. Túmbate el rollo, tómate el té. Siempre supiste que el té de las hojas de eucalipto de tu patio era bueno para ti. Desde los 5 saboreas ese té y siempre fue amargo, solo que tú no lo sabías. Mamá le agregaba miel para que lo disfrutaras. De ahí tu tercera instrucción. Cosecha tu miel, colecciona abejas, amistades. Confía en que todas juntas podrán crear suficiente para ti y para ellas. Colecciona abejas autoras. Confía en que lo que dicen permanecerá en ti. No le des tanta atención al olvido. El cuerpo no olvida, solo le sacuden las palabras y se caen. Pero sigue la miel, en ti. Asegúrate de que sean variadas las flores con las que producen esa miel. En resumen, chiquita, abre la boca, saborea, lo amargo también, conócelo, acepta el miedo y déjalo pasar, cosecha tu miel y bebe de muchas flores. Okay, you're unmuted now. Let's see if that's still echoing. All right. Asegúrate de que sean variadas las flores. Nope, it's still somehow giving my own voice back at me. Shall I leave it at that or say the English translation?
If you want to say the English translation, do you have it?
So I'll say the English translation, and if you could just write to me on direct message on Instagram, because I'm reading your oh, I see what's happening. Let's see. Hello?
Does it sound okay?
Yeah, I had 2 videos on. I'm sorry. This entire thing was much more difficult than it needed to be. Here goes. Querida, I hug you. You will go through many triumphs in life. You will reach them, the body that you are, your eyes that see, your hunger, your wishes will all guide you to moments that somehow will know that they are good. However, you will not be convinced why they are good. It's not easy for you to taste, but come, look, I have instructions for you, for how we do it. At some point you will think, I can hear the praise, but I can't feel it coming in. It's there, but it's not, always behind a thin, transparent wall. All these years you've been able to see it, but there's something standing between you and its nourishment. I love you because of your great hunger and the love with which you absorb the world. Just as you put everything in your mouth from when you were little, with a big bite like the doll from the commercial, precisely thus you eat a triumph. By the mouth. Open it. Savor it. It's difficult because not everything you put in your mouth tastes good, and you learn to deny yourself everything that seems suspicious from early on. This is fine, but now it is necessary to discern that you suspect any triumph, and maybe out of fear. Here is my second instruction. If the first was to open your mouth, the second is to accept, with fear, that you will have to eat bitter things in life. Now, knock it off. Take the tea. You always knew that the tea from the eucalyptus leaves in your patio was good for you. From the age of 5, you savored that tea, and it was always bitter, but you didn't know. Mom added honey for you to enjoy. Hence, your third instruction. Harvest your honey. Collect, be friends. Trust that together they can create enough for you and for themselves. Collect, be authors. Trust that they will say that what they will say will remain in you. Don't pay so much attention to oblivion. The body does not forget. Only the words shake off and fall. The honey is still there. Make sure that the flowers with which they produce that honey are many. In summary, little one, open your mouth, taste, yes, the bitter too. Know it, accept, harvest your own honey, and drink from many flowers. I can't hear if you're talking. Okay.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Oh, wow. It feels like your piece is a commitment to not just the triumph, but I mean, like you say, like the bitterness, right? And it just, it makes me want to share this piece with like my siblings who are 10 years younger than me. I'm like, look, you can do it all, and it's gonna be okay. So thank you.
Thank you. I was actually just talking about this with my therapist last week. So, with all the anxiety and fear that this produced, I thought maybe it'll be a cathartic to share. I've had a decade of not being able to write from myself and for myself, and you guys created the space for that. So stumbling, I'm glad that you've created this space and this time. Thank you.
Yeah, if I can also say that your piece feels very grounded, particularly in the body, like with the first instruction to eat the triumph, and to savor it and to sort of really engage in those senses. It I feel like the idea of sort of like Alon's workshop is asking people to think about shame, right? Which puts you in your body. And the way you're conceiving of celebration is also in the body, but in this very grounded and tender way, thinking about the capabilities of the body, what it can do, what it can feel, what it can taste, what it can sense. And I think that's really powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you want to send it for us to share, like definitely do so. Ah, the last hour and a half has been really emotional. And I think that Natalie, I want to add that like all of us are making this space, right? Not just like Ariana and I, it's y'all's truth and your commitment to trust us. Because I think that like we're all kind of strangers. So thank you for trusting this process. And if like anything comes up that at some point you like want to like share with us, please do so. Yeah, Ariana, do you want to say anything or like reflect on anything?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like um, well, last week the folks who shared were folks that we asked ahead of time if they wanted to share, just because it was the first week and we wanted to make sure everything went smoothly. But this time, everybody who shared are people that we don't know, and that was really exciting too to get to hear from y'all. So thank you for what you brought to the space. And I've seen a lot of folks. If you were someone who shared a piece, please go back and look at the comments in the live chat, because people have been giving you so much love. They appreciate what you offered in the space. And a lot of folks have asked to see the pieces that everybody shared. So if you shared during the workshop, or if you didn't share but you still want people to see your writing, please send it to us. You can DM us on Instagram, and you might have seen that we've already begun sharing pieces from last week's workshop. And we would love to see what you created today, or just even if you did share, we'd love to read it again. And it looks like other folks would as well. So yeah, this was really wonderful. And I got so emotional during the pieces this time. I was this close to crying every time.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch this, but I'm gonna fast forward to the sharing. Okay, so I guess to put kind of like closure, I ask that if you are compelled to continue reading, to do so today. I know that I stopped at 15 minutes. Please know that that was just the start of your writing. You can pick this up whenever you want. And like I said, we're doing this for 6 more times. and it's going to be the same time. The link is going to change every week, but just go on our Instagram and it'll be there. Both of us will also advertise the link on our own social media. And if you want to donate anything for the time, you can definitely do so. I'll put our Venmo and Cash App info. It's Ayana the Poet, and then Migrant Scribble. Oh, wow. So yeah, please tell your friends. If you have like a writing buddy that you think would like this workshop, you should definitely send them the link so they can do the workshop on their own time. Thank you for trusting us and committing an hour and a half of your Sunday.
Yeah, and just last things, the workshop video from last week, I'm working on captions for it. I have 5 more minutes left of it to caption, but it should be up in the next couple of days. So just keep an eye on our Instagram for that if you want to watch the workshop with captions. And every time we teach a workshop in this setting, the video is archived forever. So if you want to send it to somebody, like Alan said, you can send them the link, or you can go back yourself if you want to see it. Next week, next Sunday, I will be leading you all as the facilitator in a workshop that's just guided free writes. So it's a very low stakes kind of writing, very open-ended as well. So there won't necessarily be a theme going through the workshop. So if there's something you already want to write about, but you can't find an entry point into it, the workshop will hopefully assist you in doing so. So just keep an eye on our Instagram. And other than that, thank you for being here, and we'll see you Sunday. Bye.
Bye, everyone.